Today's video deals with a very unnecessarily sensitive and unfortunate topic.
Only people who have no backbones will see this video as unnecessarily sensitive. Likewise, only SJWs would see this situation as unfortunate. Hello everybody, GamerZ here, and today we're talking about PlayStation News Now. This is one of the more popular channels of the PlayStation community who usually spreads, just propaganda about PlayStation. And I hate saying propaganda. I don't like saying that. That's kind of a loaded term. And I apologize if it sounds like a loaded term. But it's actually quite biased news, sort of, it's a skewed perception of reality. Everything Sony does is great. Everything Sony does is fantastic. All of this is great. And that's what I mean by bias. There is nothing wrong that Sony can do. Sony is God, Sony is love, Sony is life. Well, today we're going to look at PS News Now, his video about how, gamers don't like to play games that represent a female protagonist. I'll get more into that later in the video. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you like the video. So continue on, my friends.
But first,
a message from our sponsor.
I'm going to skip this because it has no reason to be in my rebuttal. So, skip it.
what is up gamers? It is Fox at PlayStation News Now. Go follow me on Twitter, Fox at PS News Now. I play nice 99.9% of the time. I'm very fair.
Yeah. I don't care about your biased opinion about yourself. I'm going to skip to your argument.
Now, I was pretty vocal about this on Twitter yesterday and was asked to cover this topic by a number of people.
Just gonna say this real quick. Dat ass. Alright, continue.
Yes, both male and female. Given that at the time of this video recording there simply is no substantial news to talk about absolutely diddly squat. So today's video was brought to you courtesy of I'mSlightlyFrustrated.com.
Cringe.
There is no link in this video description because the site is a figment of my imagination.
Even more cringe.
Now, it's a very slow week for PlayStation news. Sometimes we have to get a little creative. So today I'm going to talk about the refusal of some. Now let's cut straight to the point here. I call them man-child or man-children.
So today we're going to talk about man-children. Sounds like an appealing topic.
Because of their refusal to play a game because the lead character, protagonist, is female or a child.
Or, American. A consumer with their own choice. A person of free will. Someone who doesn't have to play a specific game even though it's considered politically correct, which is garbage. The fact that people like you are practically forcing people to play games that they don't want to play for reasons of their own is, well, that's kind of authoritarian. Let them play what they want to play, and let them ignore what they want to ignore. And I'm going to sound like a dick for saying this, but they have every right to be misogynist, racist, bigoted in any way. It's America. Deal with it. As long as they're not oppressing you, as long as they're not taking away your basic human rights, they have the right to do whatever the fuck they want to. Not playing a female character in a video game does not affect you at all. You're going to say here in a little bit that gender doesn't matter. Well, guess what? Gender doesn't matter. So why are you bitching about white males in video games?
This has seriously got to be, in all probability, the single most dumbest thing I've heard this year. And I've heard a lot of dumb things already this year, and we're only in February.
Would one of those dumb things include PS4 is better than PC? I'm sure it wouldn't.
What the? You won't play Rise of the Tomb Raider, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us 2, Mirror's Edge 2, Infamous First Light, Bayonetta. Do I need to go on?
No, you don't need to.
That's just to name a few of these stellar titles where the lead character is female.
And unsurprisingly, these are also all video games on the PlayStation 4. Weird how that works.
What kind of childhood trauma does one have to suffer to be a complete and utter misogynist?
Well, you don't need to be hit in the head to hate women. I mean, you could be lied to by a woman. That's not being hit in the head. And it's not that they're misogynist for not playing a video game with a female lead. It's that, personally, People just want to play as a male. And what's stopping them from doing that? Political correctness. Exactly. People can't play the games they want without being seen as a fucking misogynist or a racist. They can't play games that represent them as a whole, which, by the way, to me is not important, but to other people it is. And you have to mind that. I mean, it's America. There's a difference between having equal opportunity and equal rights to having everybody like you. There's no reason for anybody to like you. Likewise, there is no reason for anyone to like playing as a female character. The fact that there are female characters in games is just enough. I mean, that's not oppression. That's not misogyny. People are putting female characters into games. Now what? There's nothing more to add. Forcing people to play games that they don't want to play is authoritarian. Fuck off.
It makes you wonder what kind of upbringing and relationship one may have had with their mummy, auntie, or even sister.
Again, that's their personal business. Nothing for you to stick your dirty ass nose into.
What is this bigoted attitude doing in gaming?
Well, because people are allowed to think whatever they want to because of the First Amendment, it has every right to be there.
It has no place here.
Oh, is it because gaming is a safe place with political correctness? No, it's still America.
These Cro-Magnons are happy to keep playing the same old stereotypical tropes in their video games.
And they have every right to be happy. And they have every right to play as their stereotypical tropes. Just as someone has the free choice to choose which genre of games to play, they also have the free choice to choose which race or gender to play. They have the right to prefer one gender over another. They have the right to prefer one race over another when they're determining who they want to play as. Just as you say in a little bit later in the video that you prefer to play as female characters. You have every right to play as a female character, and you have every right to prefer playing female characters. However, with that said, because you prefer to play female characters, you cannot bitch about other people preferring to play as male characters. So, because by that logic, it's okay to prefer one gender over another. But you can't prefer males. That's authoritarian, and that's kind of restrictive.
How many cut and paste generic white males, often bald / bearded and moodier than the sexist who claims women are? It is because the games industry is pretty much run by corporations.
Also, because a majority of gamers are white males, so they're appealing to the demographics in which they sell to.
Yes, the corporations call the shots, make all the decisions.
And guess what? They're allowed to, because it's America and they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Usually middle-aged or older white males in suits with an outdated ideology which is totally out of sync with the rest of society.
They don't have to make a game based off of society. They don't have to make a game that appeals to political correctness. They don't have to make a game, hell, to exclude white people. Because what you're doing here is you're saying that it's unfair to make a bunch of games about white people, even though there's just as many games about female protagonists. Especially in those games that you can choose which gender to play as. Horizon Zero Dawn's a great example. That's a great game, in my personal opinion, in terms of gameplay and in terms of story, even though it has a strong theme of feminism and political themes in there. Even though that's there, it's still a good story. It has great graphics, great frame rate probably. I mean, seriously. But besides the fact I'm not buying a PS4 to play Horizon Zero Dawn, I probably wouldn't play it either because I'm just not interested in the story of a female taking back her land, alright? The gameplay looks nice, sure. The graphics look stellar, sure. The performance is probably just phenomenal, sure. But I don't have to be interested in that story. I don't have to be interested in every fucking game I see.
In that they want to see video game characters cast in their own fantasy-fueled images.
Creative directors who design the creative process, the story, they design the game. They have the right to decide which characters go in it, how the characters go in, how they portray themselves, what the story's about, what the weapons they use, what their favorite weapon is, what the main character's traits are. Especially the traits. I mean, All of these thoughts that go into a game are made by probably one, maybe a small group of creative designers. That's because whatever they put into that game is what they think is going to go into that game, aka a fantasy. They want this game, they want their imagination to be brought to life in a video game that they can play in. That's what they want. That's why creative directors they love their job. I mean, they get to have their imagination sprawl out on a piece of paper, tell other people to program it into a computer, and then they can play their imagination as whatever they want. That's the joy of being a creative director. But political correctness is slowly creeping into video games, and now they're going to limit the creative directing process of those creative directors so they can't truly enact their imagination and fantasies in their own video game. Again, being politically correct is being authoritarian. Let them do what they want.
Massive shout out to Pope the Rev 28 via Twitter, who hit the nail on the proverbial head. He said, and I quote, "Prejudice towards anything gaming related usually points to prejudice towards something else."
Again, people are allowed to have biases towards certain groups of people. That's fine. As long as they're not restricted in any way, as long as they're not oppressed, as long as they don't have their basic rights breached, then it's fine. It's fine to be biased against someone. Hell, there's a kid at my school, he's white, but he's pissed me off more times than the amount of bones I have in my body. And that's why I avoid him. I have experience with him, and I have every right to not talk to him, right? Or am I going to have to be politically correct and talk to him? Would it have changed anything, by the way, if I said that he was a black man or a black kid? I bet you were going through that sentence like, yeah, this annoying-ass white kid who's bugged you so many times has the right to be ignored. But what if I changed that with a black kid? This black kid has annoyed me more times than the amount of bones I have in my body. And I avoid him because he's annoying. I avoid him because he's pissed me off. Yeah, that would make it, change your perspective a bit, huh? So, the fact that still stands, it doesn't have to be anybody pissing anybody off. It could be for any other reason that anyone else, for their own reasons, can have. They can have prejudice against someone else as long as it does not obstruct their basic rights. It is America. The way people feel about another group of people is none of your business.
Hashtag play games not gender. Hashtag represent.
Goddamn, I hate Twitter, I hate social media, and I hate hashtags. Fuck's sake, man.
What's the hang up, guys? Are you completely closeted? Gender fascism.
No, it's called doing what you want with your own video game. It's called doing what you want in the free open market of ideas. It's called doing what you want to please the greater demographic of your audience. So if you want to make a game based off of female characters, then you can get up off your ass and do that. Don't sit down with your bag of popcorn and tell other people how to do their own job for their own video games.
So, not only do we have to contend with a lack of character of colour taking leading roles throughout the entertainment industry, not exclusively video gaming, but the movie industry as well.
Because there just has to be an equal representation of all races and genders everywhere.
We have some ignorant buffoons declaring a reluctance to play as a female character in fictitious games.
Again, you may not understand their point of view. You may not have the whole story. Here's my whole story of why I won't play Horizon Zero Dawn. Again, besides the fact that it's an exclusive to PS4, and I'm not buying a piece of plastic just to play one game. So, here's my reason. I'm not interested in playing a story with strong political themes. It's obvious that the political theme in that story is feminism. It's insane. That story, it's literally an oppressed female with her tribe, an oppressed tribe, taking their land back from this big enemy. The reason I'm not going to play that game is because I don't want to be shutted with the fact that there's feminism, and feminism, and feminism, and I don't want to be bombarded with political themes while I'm playing a video game. And I'm just not interested in that kind of a story where a female takes back her land. I'm just not interested.
A goddamn video game.
You say it like it's trivial to be, biased against a certain gender. And, well, it is. It is trivial. It doesn't matter. Why does it matter to you that some people don't want to play a certain game? One, either because of the story, like I said in Horizon Zero Dawn, or because it plays a character that they can't connect with, or they don't think is a good main character, or just simply because it's female. What's stopping you from playing that game yourself? Why is that interfering with your life? I'll tell you why. It's because you're fucking overly sensitive about the littlest shit.
Sure, things are better for people of colour, male and female, than it was, say, 15 or maybe 10 years ago, but come on, we're in the year 2017.
See, I don't understand this whole bringing up the current year bullshit. I don't care what year it is. It's fine. It's the present. Ooh. You can say that it's not like it was 10, 15 years ago, and that's fine. But why bring up the fact that it's 2017? The year doesn't matter. This year, hey guys, we should just stop breathing. It's 2017. We've been doing this for too damn long. It doesn't make any goddamn sense at all. The fact you bring up the year may point to the fact that it's progressive and there's change. But again, your progressivism is probably regressivism. You're restricting people from making games the way they want to because of political correctness. You're regressive. And to be frank, you're interfering with my hobby.
I still recall the outcry just several months ago that Mafia 3's protagonist was a person of colour. I mean, come on!
Again, do they need a reason? Do they need to tell you every single detail of why they're not playing the game or why they're not appealed with the fact that the protagonist is black? Again, it shouldn't matter. It really should not. You may say it's just a video game with just another character, but it may be the personality of that character. It may be the potential stereotypes they've heard about that ethnic group, thus making conclusions about that character. Again, it's a whole slew of reasons that you're not aware of, and you're making judgments based off of them.
Sadly, the foolishness has extended to people saying they will not play as a child character. A child character. I mean, come on, what have you got against children? It's a video game. It's fantasy. This is not real. You're not meant to connect with the character on all levels all the time. Sometimes you just veg out and play video games for fun, regardless if they're a male character, regardless if they're a female character, regardless if they're black, white, a goddamn alien. Come on now.
It's funny that you should mention connecting with the main character because that is actually quite an important part of immersing yourself into the game. After all, that's the person you play as, and that's the person making all the decisions. The reason why people find The Witcher 3 so immersive is because they can connect with the main character, Geralt of Rivia. A lot of people find themselves immersed in the Uncharted series, but that's because they can connect with Nathan Drake, his struggles, his adventures, his boldness, his daringness ad infinitum. But connecting with your main character to produce an immersive experience is quite important, especially if you want people to get into the game, to immerse themselves in the environment, to appreciate the fact that they are playing in a forest on pixels on a TV screen. But the fact that people can forget that they're in their living room playing a video game, that's a very powerful effect, and that can only be achieved by connecting with the main character. If you had to play as some asshole little Indian dude that was like, just fuck this shit, I'm just gonna kill everybody because I'm a dumbass, I'm just stupid as shit, you're not gonna connect with him, and you're just feeling like, who the fuck is this guy? Why am I playing this game? That's kind of like why people hate Hatred. It's such a sick, violent, twin-stick shooter. And to be honest, I don't have any problem with Hatred. I'd play that in a heartbeat. But a lot of other people would say that that game is too violent, or that game is, centers around a protagonist that is super sick, and it just disgusts them that this white guy with long-ass hair just wants to kill people. And again, they have every right to hate that main character, and in return, to not play the video game. Because, again, it's all up to choice.
Get real, this is the most ridiculous thing, and I know it's a small minority of people,
Well, everyone has their biases to a certain extent. Hell, even you do.
There's a small minority of idiots out there, but these are very vocal idiots.
They're not idiots. They're humans with free will. Free will to decide who they like, who they don't like.
And a lot of people are influenced by them. I mean, I've heard podcast after podcast. I've been in chats with people who just will not play as a female.
For their own reasons that they're entitled to.
I mean, what are you struggling with here? Are you struggling with your own sexual identity?
Wait, how did this go from gender bias and gender fascism to sexual identity? This has nothing to do with sexual identity. This has everything to do with just the free will and the free choice that people have when playing a video game. And again, it does not affect your life, it doesn't affect the lives of others, and it doesn't affect my life, which is the most important. Haha.
What is it? If you're gay, just say you're gay. If you're straight, just be straight.
Sexual orientation has no place in this discussion at all. It doesn't matter.
What is it? Let me know. I'm interested. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'll listen.
Well, after you called them idiots, I don't think they'll want to talk to you. You called them idiots for exercising their free will and their free train of thought that can go wherever they want to. You know, you just called them idiots. I don't think they want to talk to you. I don't think they want to even hear from you. I think they've clicked out of this video. A lot of the things you say on Twitter, too, are very inflammatory. I don't think you'll listen, really. I think you'll just criticize them even more. As you said yourself, you are not a psychiatrist, so why would anyone want to talk to you, especially after you called them idiots? Misogynists, gender fascists, fucking gay, or whatever else you called them in this video.
There has got to be something seriously wrong with people's brains.
There is something wrong. It's called difference of thought. It's called difference of opinion. It's called difference of free will. It's called the fact that they just don't want to play the same games you do. And they have every right to do that. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing abnormal about them. It's completely normal to prefer one over another, as you do later in this video, and I'll point it out, and I'll laugh at you. But anyway, you still have that free thought. You still have that right to think what you may about what you want.
Seriously, psychiatry, a psychologist, some kind of neural, implant needs to happen. Because some people just need fixing.
Ooh, we need fixing. That's also not very appealing. Why would anyone talk to you again?
I can't believe grown men, grown men, not even teenagers. We're talking about grown men, approaching middle age, having a problem playing as a female or a child. Won't play Ni no Kuni 2. Come on.
You're missing the point. They can make their own decisions.
Get real. What is this?
It's the free train of thought. Choo choo.
I mean, what kind of issue does one have to really alienate themselves from such quality games just because they're starring, or they star a female or a child?
What an asshole. You just scared that little girl in that game. What kind of sick pleasure do you have doing that? Oh my goodness.
What is it? What is it? I am literally scratching my head at this.
I mean, seriously, you're just watching that girl as she cries out in fear. Turn it off.
If anybody can let me know in the comment section what the problem is playing as a female, I really want to know.
Jeez, you're an asshole. You're just looking at her as she's just like, you've invaded my privacy. Okay, that had nothing to do with the argument. So he asked, what's the problem with females or playing as females in gaming? Well, simply, it's their opinion. They can choose whatever they want to because it's their opinion. They can bias against whoever, bias for whoever, have their own train of thought for whoever. They can also choose what game to play and which one not to. They have that their own free will, alright? And the fact that you're telling them that they're idiots, that they're misogynists, gender fascists, they need fixing to just because they exercise their own free will? That's authoritarian, as I've said before. Political correctness at its finest. Fuck off and let them play whatever they want to play.
They're beautiful. Females are beautiful, intelligent. Often they're more interesting than male characters who seem to be just very one-dimensional. I mean, very gruff, a lot of attitude, one-liners.
Are you going that way? Where's my gun?
Women have so much nuances to their character. For some reason, females are more... How can I put this? There are so many more levels to a female character. So much more. You know, there's... they're more sensitive, understanding. They tend to act better. A lot of the actors, female actors that play lead roles, have way better scripts than the males for some reason. Especially the ones that are more, portrayed for their mental attributes and less for their physical.
Everything you've said here, everything in that last segment, is all subjective. And guess what? Every single thing you've said there is totally correct. And everything you've said there is totally up to you. As everything is else up to someone else, alright? The fact that people act better as a female than they do as a male, that's subjective. That's not a fact. Everything, up to they are more sensitive, they have deeper levels into their character, that's all subjective. This can go both ways. For example, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here and say males are more daring, they're more strong characters, they're funny, they're much more daring, they're much more adventurous, they're much more resourceful. I can go on and on about why I like male characters, just as you went on and on about how you like female characters. Again, this is just two sides of the different spectrum. There's a lot in between. There's a lot to like. There's a lot to dislike. There's a lot to appreciate. There's a lot to not appreciate. There's a lot to just accept, all right? And the fact that people think about these certain things, the fact that people have these different likes and dislikes and have all of these different thoughts, like you just did in this last segment, is completely normal. Alright, you have your preferences, someone else has their preferences, I have my preferences, my friend has his preferences, and it's all preferences on which game you want to immerse yourself into. After all, you are not forced to buy every single $60 game off the shelves day one. I mean, but you wouldn't know that because you're a Sony pony who wants to have Sony succeed, and therefore you lead a cult full of people that you tell them to buy the newest games all the time. If someone said they didn't want to play Uncharted 4 because it had a male protagonist, what would you say? Yeah, I think you're right, because female protagonists are better. Well, that would be bias. Or you can go off and defend that male character and say that the person is just sexist, and then you would, hopefully get them to turn over to your side. See, this is what I mean by biased media. Your train of thought, your logic is not straight. It's a curved line that when you actually look into it, it's actually pretty flawed. Again, you have your opinions. I have mine. Deal with it. It's America. People are going to have their own opinions. Again, you had your opinions in your last section here, just like I have mine, just like the people you criticize have theirs, just like how... for example, the person you tweeted on, or you quoted on Twitter, that person has his own opinions. And all in all, generally speaking, this has no effect on those people. This has no effect on their rights. This has no effect on their freedoms. This is an oppression. It's nothing. So why should it matter which gender it is in which people choose to play of their own free will? Sorry for the long response here, but I want you to think about your logic, and I want you to think about your opinions.
And don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against, the physical games, female characters showing a lot of cleavage and stuff. No problem with it at all.
You see women as sex objects. You're sexist and misogynist.
And neither should any women out there, because be comfortable with your sexuality, be comfortable with your physical form, whether you're thin, voluptuous, or on the larger side, just be happy.
Can you tell that to Anita Sarkeesian, please? I'm sure she'd love to hear that.
But look, ladies, I am with you. I am with you. I prefer to play as female characters anyway.
And there it is. If you were given two games, Uncharted 4 and Rise of the Tomb Raider, you would pick Rise of the Tomb Raider because it has a female protagonist. See? You have your own preferences. You have your own opinions. You have your own biases. But so does everyone else. The fact that you say to someone else that prefers playing male characters, after saying that you prefer to play as female characters, shows the hypocrisy in your logic, the double standards in your logic. It's okay to prefer as female characters. It's fine to prefer to play female characters. But it's not okay to play as male characters and prefer playing as male characters. Do you see the flaw in this logic here? You know, it's totally fine for you to prefer to play female characters. You're not sexualizing them. You're not, oppressing them. You're not making them your sex slaves. It's totally cool. But the second you prefer to play as a male character, you are suddenly a misogynist. You are suddenly oppressing them. You are suddenly, gender fascist. Do you see how this makes no sense here? I hope you do. And I hope the viewers of this video also do. The fact of the matter is, people have their own preferences, people have their own biases, people have their own opinions. As long as it's not hurting anybody, as long as it's not oppressing anybody, then you have to fucking deal with it.
I have a preference for female characters. Not that I'm bothered. I mean, I'll play a male character, I'll play an alien, I'll play as an apple if they let me. I really couldn't care less.
Oh, is that so? Alright, well there's a game called I Am Bread. This game allows you to play as a piece of bread. Would you play it? Go look it up right now. Would you play that game? And if you won't, then that means you're breadist, and you need to check your privilege. While you may not be bothered to play as certain characters like male, female, alien, bread, apple, it doesn't matter. Even though you're not bothered to play other characters, you still prefer female characters. And you said that yourself. You prefer one gender over another. And again, that is fine. That is completely fine. But you can't say in the next breath that it's not okay to prefer male characters because you literally just preferred one gender. So that means it's okay for other people to prefer it. And even if you didn't say that, it's still America, so fuck you. They're still gonna say, I prefer this, because they have the right to.
As long as the game's interesting and fun.
Higher score if it's a female protagonist.
But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments section. I'm glad we covered this. And that, gamer friends, brings us to the end of another video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share content. And remember, play games, not corporations.
Even though games are made from the creative designs of corporations.
And play games, not gender.
Even though some people prefer one gender over another. Even you.
Thanks for watching.
And thank you, viewer of this video, for watching mine. Original link in the description as well, so again, feel free to click on that, give them a view. Anyway, I do want to point out one thing in the conclusion rant of this video. I want to point out that it is totally fine for you, as the viewer of this video, to like whatever you want. To prefer whatever you want. Don't let people like this tell you to prefer certain things because it's politically correct, alright? Political correctness is completely authoritarian. It's an authoritarian way of viewing America, censoring things from being said because it's not nice and it hurts my fifis, all this other stuff. It's completely authoritarian. So say what you want, like what you want, prefer what you want, play what you want. And with that, I'm going to end the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Wow, that was an awesome outro. I think I'm gonna say that for, yeah, that was, ooh, I found an outro. Yay. Clap, clap, clap. Yay. Yay. Okay, I'm gonna stop the video.